Hey folks, SoloGamer here, and we're back, and we're going to be talking today about Talisman. This Talisman game is the Arkham Horror of the fantasy type games. It's the granddaddy. It's the one all the others imitate, and it's got a buttload of expansions. And it's also made by Fantasy Flight Games, so you know you're going to get a good product. And basically, well, when I was a kid, I loved Dungeons and Dragons and fantasy games, and I played, games like Hero Quest and Dungeon. And I've always wanted a good fantasy type game. Horror games are my favorite, but fantasy are number two. I never played Talisman when I was a kid. They have came out in the 80s. They've had several revisions, and this is the 4th edition. And what happened was Fantasy Flight Games came along and ended up revising it, and they just grew with it. They put out several expansions. They kind of made it their own. It's a great quality product. And it's kind of like the granddaddy of all fantasy games, the one that all others, kind of imitate from. It's a really good game. In this series right here, we're just going to be playing with the base game. But we are going to use characters and some spell cards and some encounter cards and stuff like that from other expansions. But for the most part, we're just going to be playing with the base game, and then later on future video series, we're going to add other games. One of the expansions we're going to go over, let's go over each of them real quick. We have the City expansion. It's a big box expansion. Adds a bunch of new characters, ton of new cards, a couple new alternate endings, and of course a new board that you put on the corner, and you can go explore the city. We have, the next one is the Highlands expansion, and it's the same thing. It's new cards, new characters, new alternate endings, and a new board you put on another corner, and you get to explore the Highlands and all that kind of stuff. Pretty good. We have a small box expansion here called the Reaper expansion. And basically what it does is you get a couple new characters, some new cards, and it adds the Grim Reaper to the game. And basically during the whole game, the Grim Reaper, if you roll the dice, the Grim Reaper, you roll a 1, he moves around the board, and if he lands on your space, well then you got to pay the penalty. This is one of my favorite expansions right here. I really like this expansion. It adds a lot to it. Another small box expansion we have is the Frost March expansion. And this is kind of like the Reaper, new cards, new characters. It basically deals with the Ice Queen and some kind of like, cold environment types and stuff like that. A good expansion to get. These things are only like 15 bucks, so you get a lot for your little $15. Then we have my favorite mini expansion, which is the Blood Moon expansion. I really like this one. Mainly because, you get new cards, new characters, but they also add the werewolf to the game. He's kind of like the Grim Reaper. You roll a die, and if you get a 1, he moves around on the board and tries to turn you into a werewolf. But this is a very Halloween-y, trick-or-treaty, horror-type expansion. It has a lot of cards of that nature, and I really like those cards for this game. And this also adds the day and night card. So this is probably my favorite small box expansion right here. Then the last small box expansion we have is the Sacred Pool. And it's more of a magical type thing. You get new characters, new cards, new alternate endings and stuff like that. Then we got a big box expansion called the Dungeon. This is probably my favorite big box expansion right here. New cards, new characters, new bad guys, new good guys, new alternate endings, and a brand new board. And I think the board for this one is really, really good. The dungeon, though, is really hard. When you put it in the game, I would recommend not going in there until you build your character up some. But boy, is it really good. And then kind of like the redhead stepchild of the Talisman is the Dragon expansion. And this comes with a board too, but instead of putting it in a corner, you put it in the center. Has a whole bunch of new game mechanics. The Dragon Lords are taking over, and you have to do a lot of stuff with that. It's imperfect because you have to play with a lot of dragon tokens and stuff, and you'll see when we play it what I'm talking about. But it's still good. It still adds a lot. You get a lot of good characters and stuff like that. And there are ways now to play these expansions. You can mix and match. You can add. You can play with them all. And eventually we're going to end up doing that. And they have a new expansion coming out called the Firelands. It's going to be a small box expansion, which I will definitely get when that comes out in the first quarter of this year. And they also have a print-on-demand expansion, the Netherworld, and I'm going to get that when the Firelands comes out. Just get them both at the same time. Talisman is not a quick game. Talisman is one of them games where you could play with 10 people, and you could play, especially the more expansions you add, you could play for hours. This game could actually take days to play and beat. It's one of those type of games. So we're going to have we're going to try our best to make this game go as quick as we can. I may have to take some risk in not building my character up, because I'm only playing this for days. But when you play Talisman like that, it's an event, and it's very fun. It's a great game. It's probably, in my opinion, it's the best fantasy type board game out there. I mean, it just is. And if you have a lot of money to invest, I would get Talisman and I would get all its expansions. It's going to cost you a pretty penny, but if you can, just get them one at a time. It is definitely worth it. It's definitely worth the investment. And like I said, you can have hours and hours of playing this game. This game, you can play. You can actually play, it says 2 to 6 players, but you can play this game solo, which I do. You just modify a few things and you play this with other people. It's a competitive type game. The first one character that gets to the crown of command and does what it says wins the game. You can attack other characters and that kind of stuff. We're going to go over how we're going to do that. But this is Talisman, the Magical Quest game made by Fantasy Flight Games. So you know you're going to get your money's worth. You know you're going to get quality. You just know you're going to get pure box of goodness. And it is a very fun game. Like I said, the only drawback to this game is that it can be very long. But we're going to set it up and I'm going to show you how it's going to go. Okay? Alright, so the board is set and let's take a look at what we got here. As you can see, this board is huge and this board is beautiful. I mean, it's just absolutely beautiful. We're going to be playing with 3 characters, and as you can see with some of these minis, I painted my minis. I suck at painting, so please don't rag me too bad, but I just try to do the best I can. We're going to be playing with the Amazon, the Alchemist, and the Assassin. And with, you see these little red things, this is your strength. The Alchemist is going to have 2 strength and 4 craft. Red is strength. It's basically how strong you are, how well you can physically fight. Craft has to deal with your magic. Now in this game, when you fight monsters or other people, sometimes you're going to fight with strength, sometimes you're going to fight with craft. The more craft you get, the more spells you can get. And you want to try to build both of them up. Of course, he has a life of 4, so you have 4 life points. He has these 3 fate tokens. And basically what the fate tokens let you do is if you roll a die and it's a crappy roll, you can spend a fate token and roll it again. And then, of course, he has gold. And his special ability is he begins the game with 5 gold. You know, you can buy stuff with gold and stuff like that. He has a special ability also. During your turn, you may alchemize any objects you have in the gold. Discard the chosen object and you gain 1 gold for each object and 3 gold for each magic object. Makes sense, he's an alchemist. During your turn, you may alchemize any gold you have into potions. For each gold you discard, you may replenish 1 fate, heal 1 life, or gain 1 spell, if your craft allows. You may alchemize objects into gold and alchemize gold into potions during the same turn. Now, the potion stuff comes with the city expansion, and this guy's from the city expansion, so we're not going to really do that with potions. If he alchemizes something, he can do a spell, and that's just a little fiddly rule we're gonna change with there. So you see, objects, followers. You can only carry so many objects. You can only have so many followers. Well, you can have, but if you get followers that let you carry more objects, you know, you can get as many as you can, as you'll see when the cards come up. We got the Amazon here. She has a strength of 3, a craft of 3. She has 4 life points, 1 gold, 3 fate. She may roll 2 dice for movement and choose one of the results to use instead of to move. So, and then she also has, if you are defeated or have a standoff in battle, you may ignore the result and immediately fight that battle again. Any effects, special abilities, objects, or spells used or cast in the first battle remain in effect for the second battle. You must accept the results of the second battle. So basically, if you fail a battle, you get to fight again for free. without having to lose a life or anything like that. Then we have the assassin. He has a strength of 3, a craft of 3, life of 4, 1 gold, 3 fate. His special thing is you may assassinate when you attack a character or creature. You cannot assassinate when you are attacked by another character. When you assassinate, battle takes place as normal, except that the victim may not roll a die to add to their strength. If you win, you must force a loser to lose 1 life. You cannot take an object or gold instead. And that's basically how battle is if you land on the same space as a monster or something like that. This is for example here. Well, I didn't want to use that card. Let's see. Alright, let's take this wolf here. Now this wolf has a strength of 2. And let's say old Amazon here is going to fight the wolf. So you would roll 1 die for the wolf and 1 die for the Amazon. The Amazon would roll a 2. Then she would get to add her strength. So 2 plus 3 is 5. The dire wolf has a strength of 2 and it would get to roll a die. And it rolls a 2. So its combined total will be 4. So the Amazon would win. And the Amazon would get to keep that wolf as a trophy. It's the same thing for craft. Craft works the same thing, same way. But if the Amazon were to lose, and she didn't use her special ability, then she will lose 1 life point. Now, the way this game plays is until somebody gets up here to the crown of command, if your characters die, you can switch out a new character. I'm not going to play like that. They die, they die. Last man standing wins. Also, the way you move in this game, you roll a die, you move 2 spaces. Now, normally you could move either this way or that way. You can't go 1 and then go backwards, but you can choose which way you want to go. I also have a little special rule. I kind of differ from that, is where everybody has to move 1 direction. So I make it clockwise, so everybody's going to be moving clockwise. Okay, that's the way I play. It's a little simpler for me. Way you play is if you land on a space, you do what it tells you to. Draw 1 card. Do not draw a card if there's already one in the space. So you would draw 1 card. This Lore Master Stranger, and this card would stay there until somebody did what the card says. So you're going to see a lot of cards on the board until somebody does what that card says and either gets the card or we put it in the discard. This is the talisman. These are weapon cards, these are spells, and these are encounter cards. And this card right here is the alternate ending. It's face down, we don't know what it is. And basically, the whole point of this game is to be the first person to get to the crown of command and do the alternate ending here. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to go through the outer region. This is the outer region, this 3rd region right here. And you're going to go through the outer region, each character, and you're going to try to build up your craft, your strength, your life. Get a bunch of good weapons and stuff like that. When you think you're ready and when you built up enough, you're going to go to the middle tier and you're going to work your way through there for a little while and try to build up even more. And then when you think you're ready, when you've built up enough, you're going to try to go to the portal power and enter this inner region right here, which is the crown of command right here. This is very hard. If you go and just say screw it, I want to go up in there and try, you're not going to last 2 seconds. So the outer region is easy. You come up here, it gets a little bit harder, and you come in here. If you don't have your stuff built up, you're dead. Okay, you are just dead, and that's the way it goes. As you'll see from when we play. Also, since we're solo playing, and you try not to pick favorites with each character, we're going to play by alignment. Each character has alignment. So the assassin here, he's an evil guy. So any chance he gets, if he lands on the same space as another character, and he's going to try to hurt that other character, kill him, take something from him, whatever. That because he's an evil character. Now the Amazon and the Alchemist are neutral. They won't necessarily fight other characters unless they think they can win and that type of thing. And so that's basically the way Talisman goes. Like I said, you can be going around this board for hours on end while you try to build stuff up, and it could take a long time. And as you can see, the more characters you have, the more expansions you put on the board, it would take even longer. But we're going to try to get this. We're going to try to do I guess the fast version of this game, and see where we go from there. Like I said, we'll go over some more of the rules and some more of the gameplay when we start the game. Each character starts at a specific location. As you can see, The alchemist and the assassin, they start in the city, and the Amazon, she starts in the village, and then we're gonna start playing in just a few minutes. So we're gonna load this video up, get it going. We don't know what the alternate ending is. I forgot to mention that. Sometimes you can know what the alternate ending is, but I do know that this alternate ending goes with the base game. I didn't put any of the expansion alternate endings in there because they require those expansion use. So I just picked all the alternate endings from the base game and play. I like this alternate ending thing. You can actually play without these alternate endings. You get to the Crown of Command and you're the first one, and they have special rules to play how you win. But the alternate endings make it interesting, especially if you don't know. There's some alternate endings like the Horrible Black Void where the first person that gets there gets killed. So it's very good, and until that alternate ending is done, then you don't have a winner's game. And it's possible you may not have a winner's game. It's possible everybody may die before they get there. So let's load this up and we'll start our gameplay. See you next time.